Hello, welcome to today's program, Veterans Affairs and Benefit Applications. Veteran Service Officer Amy Georgakopoulos will offer insight into Veterans Affairs and guidance on filling out benefit applications. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat as she goes. And without further ado, Amy Georgakopoulos.
Thank you. So my name is Amy Georgakopoulos, and I am a veteran service officer with the Will County Veterans Assistance Commission. If you're not familiar with our office, we're located in Joliet, Illinois at 2400 Glenwood. And even though we are Will County, we do work with other clients outside of our area. Our office is veteran-led by our superintendent. We have 5 veteran service officers who are all actual veterans. I am the only civilian veteran service officer there. We also actually have 1 veteran service officer from the state of Illinois that works in our office. So that's a very nice partnership for us to have because we can work collaboratively with them on anything and everything, basically. The basic job that I have is to file claims to the Department of Veterans Affairs for veterans and surviving spouses. All benefits have eligibility requirements. So my job is to take a look at the situation. Every situation is unique and determine if the claimant is eligible for some type of VA benefits. And there are several. We also work with collaboratively with the Orland Park Vet Center. We provide combat counseling. We have an emergency financial assistance program to Will County residents. We work very heavily with homeless prevention, try and connect people to housing. We have a food pantry, we have a shower, we have an arts and crafts program. What's actually exciting about our office is hopefully either later this year or in sometime in 2022, I'm not quite sure the time frame, we're going to be moving to a larger space closer to the Joliet CBOC, we call it. It's the community-based outpatient clinic that is under the umbrella of Hines VA Hospital. So what's really nice about that space is we're going to be right there next to the clinic, and we're kind of hoping that it would be a one-stop shop for any veterans that might need to see their doctor for visits and come see us. The space is going to be great because it's going to be a lot larger. It's going to have a gym as well. So let me tell you a little bit about me. I am going on 3.5 years with the Will County Veterans Assistance Commission. I am accredited veteran service officer. If you're not sure what the difference is between a veteran service officer and just someone out there that maybe works for a financial advisor that files VA benefits, we are all accredited through the Office of General Counsel. We all have to have an accreditation to be veteran service officers because, believe it or not, there's a way to do this correctly. Anyone can file a VA claim, but it's probably better off that you work with someone that actually knows the rules and regulations. So I'm going to go ahead and share I have a presentation for you. There we go. So this is just a brief overview of benefits for veterans and survivors. We want to let you know that there's 2 rules for VA claims. Never pay to file a VA claim. There are people out there that are going to claim that they can get your claims decided quicker. They're also going to charge you a lot of money to do so. Some that I've run into charge thousands of dollars to compile the paperwork. Some actually will go ahead and want a portion of your award if you're awarded, and we don't ever recommend you do that. There's no charge to file anything to the Department of Veterans Affairs. You can do it yourself, but we recommend you actually do not do it yourself, that you go to an accredited veteran service officer. And you can look to see, you can look me up doing an OGC search on the Office of General Counsel website. You can punch in my name and you'll see that I'll pop up. I'm going to go over certain benefits called non-service connected pension with aid and attendance, service connected compensation, dependency and indemnity compensation, and burial benefits. The Department of Veteran Affairs helps veterans and families cope with financial challenges by providing supplemental income through the Veterans Pension and Survivor Benefit programs. With every VA benefit that's out there, there's actually an eligibility criteria. A lot of times people will call me up and they'll say, hey, Amy, I'm entitled to these benefits. Can you go ahead and file them for me? We actually don't really like the word entitled because actually no one is entitled to any of this. You have to be deemed eligible. Now, for example, for the pension benefit with aid and attendance, this is actually my specialty. The requirements are as follows. This is limited to wartime veterans or surviving spouses only. If you served after Korea but before Vietnam began, then unfortunately you're not eligible to file for this. There is a character of service and length of service requirement. It's 90 days during the established wartime period and an honorable discharge. The VA may make considerations for under honorable conditions or an OTH, but it's going to depend on the unique situation. This benefit is income and asset based. There is a net worth requirement. If you are over 65 or permanently and totally disabled veteran, you would qualify. Now, if you are under 65 and not a permanently and total disabled veteran, the VA is going to ask why you cannot work, basically. And there is going to be a form that your doctor needs to fill out to substantiate that information. Even if you are over 65, your doctor will still have to fill out this form because the VA requirement is that you need assistance with 2 or more what they call activities of daily living. So can you make your meals and feed yourself? Can you toilet and bathe yourself? Can you manage your own medications? The VA requirement is at least 2 or more of these areas. Widows can also file for this benefit as well. The veteran would need to be deceased, unfortunately, in order for them to file for it. There is no disability requirement for the widows. A lot of times, a husband and wife will come to me and the veteran is, like I said, still living and say the wife needs assistance. I cannot file for this benefit. It would be veteran first. If the veteran passes away, then a surviving spouse. Like I said, the net worth, there is an income and asset limit for this benefit. We call it the Brightline Limit. The current Brightline Limit for 2021 is $130,773. However, the VA takes into consideration not just your net worth and your gross monthly income. We can deduct prospective annual medical expenses that are reoccurring from that to give what we call a calculated net worth. If you're at or under the limit, you're eligible for the benefits. If you're over, you're not eligible, and you could be $10 over and you're not eligible. So the Brightline Limit is very clear. And this is probably the biggest part of my job, is to work very heavily with the applicant to determine if they are financially eligible. Transparency is very important in this area because either you are or you're not eligible for the benefit. The VA has established what's called a maximum annual pension rate. It's classified as follows. There's a number specifically for veterans, specifically for widows. There's the veteran pension with the aid and attendance, which is the caregiver stipend, the widows with aid and attendance, and also the veteran and the spouse. So if, for example, the veteran and spouse are living together, but the veteran needs the assistance, this would be the maximum annual pension rate they'd have to fall under. So 3 years ago, the VA established a look-back period. We do not transfer or gift any assets to gain eligibility. The one exception to that rule is trust established for a child incapable of self-support, or by what the VA definition is called a helpless child. So if you had to take funds and set up a trust to fund that child's care, that's okay. However, the VA will not consider a transfer to a trust as a transfer for less than fair market value if the trust is established on behalf of a child whom the VA has rated incapable of self-support. This transfer does not result in a penalty period. So in a nutshell, what this means is, like I said, the VA has what we call a 3-year look back to see what your income and assets were. My biggest pet peeve to say, for example, is there are a lot of assisted living facilities in the area. There's a lot of financial advisors in the area, and I've run into many that try and help their clients hide their, well, for sake of a better word, hide their funds or move them. You have to be completely transparent when you're filing for this benefit. I tell everyone that lands in my office that this is the easiest benefit for me to determine your eligibility for, but it's also the easiest benefit for you to incur VA debt with, and that's something you don't want to do. Like I previously mentioned, the look back and penalty period, the rule established as of October of 2018 is a 36-month or 3-year look back period and a penalty period not to exceed 5 years for those who transfer assets in an attempt to qualify for pension. So for example, if you sell your house, you cannot turn around and sell it to your grandson for $10,000 or, put it in a trust and say that you cannot act. Well, it would have to be, it depends. It gets a little complicated with revocable and irrevocable trusts, but the most important thing is to be completely transparent as to what you're doing with your funds, because I'll ask you. I'm not shy to do it because my job is to not only put together the best claim for you, but my job is to make sure that you're completely compliant and you're eligible. If I don't do that, then I'm not doing my job. Like I had mentioned, please do not ever incur a debt with the VA. It can also happen without you even really realizing it. The biggest problem that I see is that people sell their homes and they forget to notify the VA if they're receiving benefits. If you sell your home and receive a payment that's going to exceed that $130,000 limit, that changes things. You need to let me know so I can notify the VA because your benefits will stop. Common causes of debt are changes in dependent status, changes in income, say you become eligible for Medicaid, and the sale of the home. Either way, when I work with clients, I always tell them, if I file your claim for you and you get approved, that doesn't necessarily terminate our relationship. Your job is to keep in touch with me of any changes that come down the pipeline, because then I will tell you, yes, we need to notify the VA, or no, we don't. They're not going to know anything that changes in your life right away. It's going to come down maybe years from now. But if, for example, you obtained the benefit because you only had $10,000 in the bank and you were wiping out your funds in order to qualify, but 6 months or a year or 2 years down the road from receiving the benefits, you sold your home and you got, $250,000 sitting in your bank account. They're not going to know about that. It's our job to let them know. It's your job to communicate to me so we can keep, like I said, complete transparency going throughout this entire process. Another benefit that we file in our office is called service-connected compensation. There's 3 components to it. There's either direct service compensation, secondary, or the presumptives. The presumptives fall under a couple different circumstances. Veterans that served in Vietnam or in specific areas in Korea or on the demilitarized zone could have been exposed to Agent Orange. This is the current list of the Agent Orange presumptive conditions. The VA is also in the process of adding 3 new ones. They're hypothyroidism, bladder cancer, and Parkinsonism. However, we are waiting for that to be made official. We're also waiting for how they're going to classify the Parkinsonism because there's a few different conditions that could fall under that. We've been advised that we can go ahead and file those claims to preserve the earliest entitlement date. The VA isn't actually approving the 3 new conditions, but they should not be denying them. However, if any of you have been diagnosed or any of your, Vietnam veteran loved ones are suffering from any of these illnesses, I highly recommend you connecting with either our office or another veteran service officer to initiate a claim for compensation. Another presumptive falls under the Camp Lejeune. A lot of the Marines that were on Camp Lejeune for at least 30 days between 1953 and 1987 could have been exposed to contaminated groundwater. As a result of the contamination, they could be suffering from these conditions. Another benefit that I also file is called dependency and indemnity compensation. This is a monthly financial benefit paid to the surviving spouse of a veteran whose death is what we called service-connected. In order to establish eligibility for this benefit, service-connected condition needs to be the cause of death, or it needs to be a significant contributing cause enlisted on the death certificate. Another circumstance that could render a spouse eligible is if the veteran was rated at 100% for 10 years before they passed away. She would automatically, or he, be eligible for the dependency and indemnity compensation. And this is a benefit that they would receive every month for the rest of their life. The current benefit amount for this is $1,357. But the one thing that's very important, and a lot of people will come to me, say a veteran is receiving service-connected compensation, and they're, alive and well and everything's doing fine, but they want to see if their spouse, if for some reason they would pass away prior to their spouse, it's very important that their cause of death is one of their service-connected conditions that ends up on the death certificate. I've seen many death certificates come down and the reasons that they're service connected for are not listed. Now, if that didn't contribute to their cause of death or was not the principal cause, then okay. But if it had absolutely anything to do with their passing, you want to make sure it ends up on the death certificate. I tell all my clients that when you have a baby, the hospital comes to you and you are the informant for the birth certificate. Same thing happens when someone passes away. They're going to come to you and you're going to be the informant for the death certificate. So if there is ever a circumstance with one of the causes of death being something that the veteran was service connected for, you want to make sure if that had absolutely anything to do with the reason why they passed away, it ends up on the death certificate, because it makes my job a lot easier with being able to prove that the death was service connected. If not, then we have to potentially see if there's room to amend the death certificate, get a lot of medical evidence, statements from doctors, so on and so forth. So the Department of Veterans Affairs also has burial benefits that you could be eligible for. These would fall under being buried in a national cemetery. There are presidential memorial certificates that are something you can apply for that are free. VA issued grave marker or medallion, burial and transportation expense allowance, and that's usually paid as a reimbursement. Once the decedent has passed, I would obtain a copy of the statement of charges from the funeral home and file for a burial reimbursement if they're eligible. Not everyone is eligible for a burial reimbursement. Like I said, we have to determine eligibility with any of these benefits that we file for. Sorry about that. The burial expense allowance that's paid as a reimbursement needs to be within 2 years of the veteran's burial or cremation. They have to be in receipt of a service-connected disability compensation or a non-service-connected pension. So if they're a healthy veteran and never filed for anything and they pass away, say for example, they're not eligible for a burial reimbursement. And we have to prove that the recipient paid out of pocket for expenses, and that would be via the statement of charges from the funeral home. There's also a payment for conveying remains paid as a reimbursement. And like I said before, they would need to have been in receipt of service-connected compensation or non-service-connected pension, or have passed away at a VA facility. Again, like I mentioned before, the two rules that we have for the VA claims is don't ever pay for it. Like I said, that's the one thing that drives me absolutely crazy, is that people pay thousands of dollars out of pocket to do something that I'm going to do for you absolutely free. I'm also trained to know how to do it, because believe it or not, there is a way that the VA likes these claims to come to them. There are several types of supporting documentation that are required when you are going to file for these. And our job is to know what supporting documentation they want. And like I said, my job is to guide you and make sure that I put together the most solid claim possible. I tell all the people that come through my office, the clients that I meet with, that it's not my style to compile a claim that I know is going to be denied. My goal is to put together a claim that I know you have a great chance of getting approved for, because I would not waste your time and I wouldn't waste mine spinning wheels for something that I know you're not eligible for. I don't sugarcoat things. I'm completely honest with everyone that comes and sits in my office, and I will tell you to the best of my ability what I absolutely can do for you. And what to expect. I would never misguide anyone, nor does anyone else in our office. I'm very proud to say that I work with a great group of people that are very good at what we do. And again, like I said, don't try and do this yourself. You certainly can. You don't need to go to an accredited veteran service officer, but it's in your best interest to do so, because most likely you're going to mess it up. Not by any reason, or on purpose, not by any intent, but you probably will, just because you're not familiar with what their requirements are. These are the veteran service officers currently in our office, led by my superintendent. You can reach me either via email, or you can contact the office at the number below. We are located at 2400 Glenwood Avenue in Suite 110. We are 2 blocks west of St. Joe's Hospital. I also recommend, if you have a hard time calling the office, you please feel free to use my email. It's my first initial A, my last name, Georgakopoulos, at willcountyillinois.com. You can shoot me an email and say, hey, I want to come in and schedule an appointment. We are doing Zoom appointments, standard phone appointments, and we are open to the office. I am in the office Monday through Thursday currently. My work from home day is on Fridays, but I'm on my email pretty much every day. And if there's anything that you need, I would love to help out. And that is that part.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Amy. If there are any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box to our attendees. So if any of our attendees have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A box or the chat.
No questions?
Oh, I think we do have a question.
I see it. Mom was in skilled nursing and was a veteran. Is there any assistance? Is mom still in the nursing home, or is she passed? She's still in the nursing home and she is the veteran? Okay. Did she serve active duty during a wartime period? It depends on all of her dates, but I would definitely probably sit, if you want to schedule a phone appointment with me, we can talk about it. She could be eligible for aid and attendance. And that's the income and asset-based benefit that offsets caregiver fees. It depends on if she's paying for the facility or if she's on Medicare, Medicaid. She's paying. Okay. I would recommend setting an appointment with me, and I could definitely talk to you about it. That sounds perfect. Yeah, I'm happy to connect with you. So I'll be in the office Monday morning and I can get you on my schedule. You're welcome.
Do you want to put your email in the chat box, Amy?
Sure. Let me go ahead and do it. Let's make sure I spelled it right. Yep, that's me. And then the office phone number is there. So email or phone works either way. But feel free, in you know, for example, a lot of times people come in contact with me because they might not have veterans or, you know, surviving spouses of veterans in their family, but it could be a neighbor or an uncle or whomever. I work with people all the time, and then they connect me to more information. She's
Oh,
not seeing.
Amy,
Yeah.
you have to change panelists to panelists and attendees when you send it.
Okay, hold on. Can you see it now, or do I need to retype it?
Here, let me, you know what? I can just copy it and
I got
I'll
it.
do it right now. Oh, you got it? Okay.
Yep.
There we go. Mhm.
Sorry. There you go. Perfect. Okay. Did anyone have any other questions?
I'm on mute. Yeah, any other questions? We'll give it a minute here, but the Orland Park Library does want to thank Amy for doing this presentation. We appreciate it.
No, I'm happy to do it. And if there's anything else that anyone ever needs, please feel free to keep my contact information. If I don't have the resource for you, I can connect you to them. So
Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
It doesn't look like it, so I will close the meeting. Thank you again, and we appreciate the attendees for popping in.
No problem. Thanks.
Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.